IVM.
Hello one, hello all. Welcome to the Diary of the Traveling Professor. And this is Siddharth Deshmukh, your friendly neighborhood traveling professor himself. What do I have in store for you this Thursday? Well, I have been thinking a lot about the new role of advertising. Yeah, you heard me right. I think advertising has played a lot of roles without us realizing it. You know, in the 60s or even earlier, advertising was mainly used for awareness. And perhaps as time moved on, it has been used for recall, and it has been used for, calls to action, and so on and so forth. Various typical marketing tasks that advertising has actually encountered over the years and successfully, kind of done well in its mission towards marketing communication. But today, advertising stands at a precipice, and the precipice is that of the sophisticated consumer. The consumer is no longer interested in just becoming aware of, the product or the service that you're trying to sell, because you can get it on Quora, right? Well, the consumer is certainly not interested in having her entertainment repeated often through advertising. I mean, you have Netflix and Amazon Prime and so on and so forth. All those OTT platforms are making sure that we are moving away from the lure of cable TV as quickly as possible, especially during this pandemic. We've seen this. So, no recall, no awareness, or maybe lesser emphasis on them, even during brand launches. And what we are realizing is, then does the sophisticated customer actually require advertising? So I did a bit of a deep dive on it and kind of understood that it is a double-edged sword. Advertising actually has developed a weird facet to it now, a really weird facet, which is it is now being recognized as something that can either put off a consumer or actually turn a consumer on. So yeah, the advertising has become part of the product. So Nike, for example, with its advertising with Colin Kaepernick and the whole Black Lives Matter thing, it's actually part of the product. I would say the advertising is actually part of the Nike product or the Nike brand. Interesting, isn't it? Now think about it. There are some kinds of advertising which we hate. So let's look at why we hate such advertising. Probably because we want to talk about the product or service ourselves to other people. You know what that means though? That means that you're an early adopter or an innovator for that product category, for that service, for that, type of situation. And it's quite possible that advertising actually pisses you off because it reduces your worth, perhaps, as a communicator, as somebody who's on top of things and stuff like that, because we all like to be known for something. Oh, this guy, he is very good with computers. Oh, this guy, you should listen to his movie choices. Oh, that person always recommends the best books and so on and so forth. All of us are early adopters or innovators, cool kids with some product category or the other. Advertising doesn't do a particularly good job with these guys or all of us in some product category or the other because we tend to kind of feel scuttled by advertising. If everybody knows about it, how am I special, right? Unless, of course, the advertising itself is so cool and so underground and so avant-garde that you can make it a bragging point. Probably Nike again springs to mind. So then what is the new role of advertising? If it's not creating awareness as effectively, recall as effectively, it's pissing a few customers off because of the information overload and the fact that, people's relationship with products differs, and that's a new understanding for marketing professionals. What is, pray, the new role of advertising? I've come to realize that if I look at the law of diffusion of innovation, and if I look at the early adopters and the innovators, and the early majority and the late majority and laggards, the maximum impact that advertising can still have is essentially with the early majority. Now, the early majority is just waiting on the other edge of the precipice. Okay, waiting for those Enthu cutlets, those early adopters and innovators to try out their product, but they're not going to believe every word that comes out of their mouth. I mean, they might rave on about the latest Star Wars or the latest Avengers, but maybe the movie wasn't that good. Early majority guys are essentially risk averse, and we are all of early majority in some product category or the other. That's this beauty of this new marketing, wherein we are different people to different brands. Now, that is one key takeaway, right? Now, this takeaway makes me feel that if I am in the early majority for some product category, and if somebody advertises to me, I'm going to feel a little more reassured. Okay, there's something legit there besides that Enthu Cutlet talking about it. And that's what kind of convinces me, creates that demand, confirms that awareness, confirms that recall. So it's quite imperative for all marketers and advertisers to recognize that the product, the service, and my relationship with it as a consumer and where I stand, okay, in that relationship, am I an early adopter or am I a laggard, okay, makes a massive impact on whether advertising, whether it's digital or physical or a combination, is going to work or not. That's a lot of food for thought, really. A lot of food for thought, because a lot of times advertising agencies are wondering how to differentiate themselves from competition. Here's a freebie, guys. Maybe you can try to differentiate yourselves on the law of diffusion of innovation. See if that works. Well, at least see if that differentiates. I think it's high time that we look at advertising a little differently. I don't think it's high time that we kill advertising, but certainly we need to renew it. And the way in which we can renew it is by understanding the new sophisticated consumer. Well, I hope that you like this diary entry of mine. Interestingly, I had recorded this once before and that whole thing got rogered, but I think this one has come out better. I hope you agree. And if you like the funny side of the professor, well, there's me on Instagram as usual. The LinkedIn has me typing in some serious stuff. Podcasts I release on both places. Tell Me About It is a program that I quiz industry experts on. And of course, I'll meet you in class if you're in one of my classrooms, right? The traveling professor is omnipresent. God, that makes me scary. Well, until that scary moment comes for you, I'm pretty peaceful. I hope you had a good time listening to this. And if you like podcasts like these, go to the ivmpodcast.com or go to the app and download it. Until next time then.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. Some really fun guests on the network this week. Cyrus welcomed Dia Mirza to come and have a conversation about all kinds of different things. Danny Morrison was on Edges and Sledges, the cricket podcast. If you haven't heard that, that's always a fun listen. And Raul Subramanian was on Football Should Fall to grow their ever more exciting list of guests. And it's not just that. Mantra Mugdha, an old friend of ours, was on Advertising is Dead. Manu Pillai was on the Filter Coffee podcast. It's been one great guest after the other. And with that, we hope to catch you again next week.
Advertising is dead. Yep, you heard me right. Advertising is dead. We're all in the content business now. Let's not call it news, TV, radio, etc., etc. It's all content, and we're in the middle of this weirdly exciting phase where all the borders and lines that have been drawn over decades has been swept away by this lovely thing called the internet. We're a show where we don't dwell on just the stuff that is now, but rather the wider stuff about advertising, media, content, and the whole goddamn circus surrounding it. Tune in every Tuesday for our weekly unboxing of the mystery box we used to call advertising. I'm Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch, and this is my new podcast, Advertising is Dead.